Deep in the ancient forests of North America, something moves through the shadows, something that shouldn't exist, something that has haunted humanity's nightmares for thousands of years.
On a fog-drenched morning in October 1967, two cowboys rode into the wilderness of Northern California. Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin were searching for the impossible. What they captured on film that day would become the most analyzed piece of footage in cryptozoology history. The creature they filmed stood 7 feet tall, covered in dark reddish-brown fur, with shoulders broader than any human. It turned, looked directly at the camera, and walked calmly into the forest. Frame 2352. That single moment changed everything. But this story doesn't begin in 1967. It begins centuries before European settlers ever touched American soil. The indigenous peoples of the Pacific Northwest have spoken of the Sasquatch for over 6,000 years. The Lummi Nation called it Samaquis. The Salish tribes knew it as Sasquatch, meaning wild man. These weren't campfire stories meant to frighten children. These were warnings. In their oral histories, Sasquatch wasn't a monster. It was a guardian of the forest, a being that existed between the physical and spiritual worlds. The elders taught that if you saw one, you were being given a message. You had ventured too far into places humans weren't meant to go. Then came the gold rush of 1848. Thousands of miners flooded into the wilderness, tearing through ancient forests. And that's when the encounters exploded. Miners reported massive footprints, 16 inches long, pressed deep into the mud near their camps. They heard screams in the night that made their blood run cold. High-pitched wails that echoed through the canyons, impossible to identify. Some men abandoned their claims. Others simply vanished. In 1924, a group of miners at Ape Canyon in Washington state claimed they were attacked by a group of ape-like creatures who threw rocks at their cabin all night long. The terror in their testimonies was real. These were hardened men, veteran prospectors who had faced bears and mountain lions without flinching. But this was different. The skeptics dismissed it all. Mass hysteria, they said. Misidentified bears, elaborate hoaxes. But the reports never stopped. They came from loggers, hunters, park rangers, people with nothing to gain and everything to lose by speaking out. In 1958, a bulldozer operator named Jerry Crew discovered massive footprints at a construction site in Bluff Creek, California. He made plaster casts. The local newspaper ran the story, and for the first time, the creature got a new name: Bigfoot. The prints showed dermal ridges, the fingerprint-like patterns on skin. Experts who examined them said they were either real or created by someone with sophisticated knowledge of primate anatomy. But who would go to such lengths in such remote locations for decades with no financial gain? Then came the Patterson-Gimlin film. Experts have analyzed every frame for over 50 years. Hollywood special effects artists insist the muscle movement beneath the fur is impossible to fake with 1960s technology. The creature's gait shows a mid-tarsal break, a foot flexibility humans don't possess, but other primates do. Both Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin maintained until their deaths that what they filmed was real. They passed polygraph tests, they never profited significantly from the footage, and they never changed their story, not even once.
But here's where it gets truly strange. In 2003, the FBI released classified documents. For decades, they had been secretly analyzing hair samples, tissue specimens, and footprint casts sent to them by concerned citizens. One document, dated 1977, confirmed they had tested 15 hairs of unknown origin. The conclusion? Not human, not any known North American animal, unclassified.
Modern DNA analysis has yielded similar mysteries. Dr. Melba Ketchum's controversial 2013 study claimed to have sequenced Sasquatch DNA. The results suggested an unknown primate species with human maternal DNA, but an unidentified paternal lineage. The scientific community rejected it, but the questions remained. Thousands of sightings, hundreds of footprint discoveries, countless audio recordings of vocalizations that match no known animal, hair samples that defy classification, and yet no body, no bones, no definitive proof. So what's really going on in those forests? Some scientists propose Bigfoot could be a surviving population of Gigantopithecus, a massive ape that supposedly went extinct 300,000 years ago. Fossils prove it once existed, standing up to 10 feet tall. But Gigantopithecus lived in Asia. Could it have crossed the Bering Land Bridge? Could a small population have survived in the vast, unexplored wilderness of the Pacific Northwest? Others suggest something even more unsettling. What if Sasquatch represents an undiscovered branch of the human family tree? What if these creatures are closer to us than we want to admit? The wilderness of North America is more vast than most people comprehend. Millions of acres of old-growth forest where humans rarely venture. In 2010, scientists discovered a new species of monkey in Myanmar, a country that's been inhabited for thousands of years. If we're still finding large primates in explored regions, what could be hiding in the truly remote corners of our world? But perhaps the most compelling evidence isn't physical, it's psychological. Why do indigenous cultures across the entire Pacific Northwest, separated by hundreds of miles and different languages, all describe the exact same creature? Why do their accounts match modern sightings with eerie precision? Mass delusion spanning thousands of years. The Patterson-Gimlin creature walked with a fluid, natural movement. It showed no awareness of being filmed until Patterson shouted. Its anatomy, down to the muscle groups visible beneath the fur, matches what a bipedal ape would actually look like. Experts in biomechanics can't explain how two cowboys could have fabricated something so anatomically perfect. And then there are the encounters that never get reported. The park rangers who whisper about protocols for Sasquatch sightings. The forestry workers who've seen things they refuse to discuss on record. The indigenous guides who know exactly which areas to avoid. Every year, hundreds of people go missing in national parks under mysterious circumstances. The missing 411 cases, experienced hikers who vanish without a trace, search and rescue teams finding nothing despite massive efforts. Could something be out there? Something we're not supposed to find? Here's what we know for certain. The indigenous peoples respected Sasquatch enough to warn their children about it for 6 millennia. Thousands of credible witnesses, including police officers, military personnel, and scientists, have reported encounters. Physical evidence exists that cannot be easily explained. And the places where Bigfoot is most commonly seen are the same places humans feel instinctively uneasy. The Patterson-Gimlin film remains unproven and unprovable, but it also remains unexplained. 57 years later, with all our technology and expertise, we still cannot definitively say what that creature was. Maybe Bigfoot is a myth, a legend perpetuated by misidentification and desire for mystery. Or maybe, just maybe, there's something out there in the ancient forests, something that has learned to avoid us, something that watches from the shadows as we pass through its territory. The forests are vast, the wilderness is deep, and some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. Because perhaps the real question isn't whether Bigfoot exists, it's whether we're ready for the answer if it does. The truth is still out there, walking through the mist, leaving 16-inch footprints in the mud, waiting in the shadows of the trees we're too afraid to explore. And somewhere, in the depths of an untouched forest, something massive is watching us, wondering the exact same thing.